Hello, welcome. We're here today with myself, Dominic Zangrilli, and
Hey, how's it going, guys? Brendan Sweeney here, Penn State student.
and we're here today to talk about a great guy, business mogul, Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk, he was actually born in Belarus and moved here in the United States as a very young boy. He came over here in the United States around 1978, I believe. And right away he was kind of engulfed with American culture. Right, Sweeney?
Yeah. How was he engulfed by American culture, Dominic?
Doing some research, I saw that he moved over into Queens and then down into New Jersey.
New York boy.
But Jersey at heart. And his neighborhood friends wanted to play some football with him. And really from that moment on, he kind of fell in love with the New York Jets. I mean, he was an immigrant, first generation American, He didn't really have a lot of funds, so his mom made him a Jets jersey for himself. And from that on, he believes that's basically his prized possession and something he really cannot live without.
That's pretty neat. So, like we previously mentioned, Gary, coming from a family of immigrants, didn't really have a traditional start to American life. He came over in the late 70s, and he felt that the American education system had failed him as a child. Right off the bat, he was a true entrepreneur. He from selling blow pops in school to starting a lemonade stand, he was always on top of a way to make a quick buck, just showing off that entrepreneurial spirit.
From those blow pops and the lemonade stand, him and his buddies started making money selling baseball cards. They made thousands doing that just throughout high school and that sort of stuff. His family actually had a liquor store, which was about worth $3 million at the time, and he took it and just kind of ran with it on the internet and made this thing called the Wine Library out of it. And from that $3 million business, he turned it into a $60 million e-commerce website, which is pretty crazy, don't you think?
Wow, yeah, I think that deserves a quick...
So basically, after that, he kind of stepped down from the Wine Library and then moved into making Vayner Media with his brother. So Vaynerchuk really had his own way of thinking. He preaches a lot. He is a motivational speaker and does a lot of TED Talks and that sort of thing. But when he's preaching his beliefs, he's never trying to get people to follow him. He puts his beliefs out there, and it's for the people to hear. If they want to follow him, we'll bring them aboard, and if not, he kind of just lets them go. One thing he preaches, and one of his beliefs and virtues, is really teaching his children the right way to grow up. One of his big points is...
What do you mean by the right way to grow up?
Well, nowadays, there's trophies for everything, right?
Yes.
So, one of his big points is there's no such thing as an eighth place trophy.
Okay.
So if his kids are in a youth soccer league and they're getting participation trophies, what's the worth in that?
Okay. Yes, I see your point.
Yeah, so really, Sweeney, going off that, no such thing as an eighth place trophy, it's really you win or lose out there. It's life. Mm-hmm. As us being college students, how do you think we can learn from that and take his beliefs and run with it and become successful off of that?
Well, I mean, saying there's no such thing as an eighth place trophy is basically saying you're not going to accept anything else but success. And success is, I mean, I'm sure that everyone has their own personal definition, but for me, I would say taking Gary's advice and working hard so I can do well and get a good job.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Another point that Gary kind of talks about, he said the biggest thing he learned as a child from his father was the power of a handshake. What do you think about that? What do you think a man's word or woman's word? Does that still hold true today in today's society, or what do you think about?
So I relate a lot to this. My father also was big on handshakes and making sure that I knew the right way to do one. He he would accuse me when I was younger of having a dead fish, which is just me holding my hand out there limp for the other person to give me a handshake. But he taught me to look someone in the eyes, give him a handshake, and when you shake someone's hand, that means something. That means a deal has been made. That means you're friendly with this person. That means you have a good relationship and you're willing to work with them. So I think it's a great lesson. And again, like,
you only knew. I just throw. What's the best piece of advice you ever got?
That. When I was 14, I was full of crap. I was a salesman. I would say anything to you to make you buy my baseball cards or a bottle of wine. My dad grabbed me by the neck and he said, listen to me, where we come from, you've got one thing, your word. And that one moment, easily, my mom did most of the work. My dad was at work. I never saw my dad until I was 14. She built the self-esteem. She made me the right kind of guy, kind. She built the foundation. But that one tweak by my dad changed the outcome of my life from being a good huckster salesman who would have made it okay and made a good buck to having real potential.
Did you get some bad advice too?
I don't really listen to advice at all, so I'm sure I get bad advice. Larry, I actually think I get bad advice every day.
So Gary's also got a lot of accolades, being in his 40s. Even before that, he was named one of 40 under 40. He's already a 5-time best-selling author. His company now, Vaynermedia, is worth upwards of $160 million.
Wow. And do you know what exactly is involved in Vaynermedia?
Basically, Vaynermedia is a media company that sells advertisement space on the internet, on the television. You know, they work with companies like Hulu, just really household names, big companies that are always using commercials, using airtime. So they're there selling that airtime to them. Yeah, which is really cool, and they've obviously made a ton of money off of that. With that being said, and like I said before, with his love of the Jets and his drive and determination, Mr. Vaynerchuk really wants to own the Jets one day. He thinks that's his peak. He thinks that's all he needs to do in life. And then, so, yeah.
I mean, that's just a perfect example of setting goals for, like, some may say unattainable, but this is just someone willing to work and do whatever he can to attain his goals. And I find that very admirable, and someone that a lot of people should look up to in the business world.
I think so too. I mean, he's young. He knows that it's not going to be 2022 by the time he has the Jets. He's looking at this as more of a 30 or 35-year plan of his goal. I'm sure by that time, an NFL team will probably be worth upwards of $5 billion maybe, you know, and he's not worth that yet. But he knows if with his drive and his hustle, he can get there. And I think for us college students, it's a perfect example for us to really hit the ground running once we get out of college, or even now in college, to go be successful in whatever you want to be in life, whether that be art, music, business like he is, or helping others. Just like get out there and do it. Do what you love and go for it.
Amen.
Now here's a soundbite from that interview between Larry King and Gary Vaynerchuk when he's talking about owning the Jets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, explain all of this with regard to the New York Jets.
I desperately want to buy them, Larry.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Can you afford it?
Not yet. But I've never felt more in control of that actually happening than I do right now.
Why this? You're so level-headed and
Yes.
on top of things.
Yes.
But sports things are a fan thing.
Yes, they are.
That's short for fanatic.
Yes, it is.
And that's emotional.
Yeah, listen, I'm a flawed human. I mean, we all have our shortcomings.
So,
You know, look, I'll tell you the truth. When I came to America, in Queens and in Dover, I couldn't speak English. Dover, New Jersey.
spoke Hebrew?
No, I wasn't speaking Yiddish,
Russian?
but I was speaking Russian. But there was something when I moved to Edison, New Jersey, the kid, Eric Godfrey, Robbie Turnick, they were playing football, and they made me a Jets fan, and it was my first American thing. And my mom, everybody had a Jets jersey, and I wanted one. And my mom, we couldn't afford stuff like that. It's not what immigrants do. You don't go out and buy a $30 Jets jersey. So my mom knitted me one. And so I have it. It's my prized possession. It's literally my prized possession. And I've created a fairy tale in my mind somewhere around 2nd or 3rd grade that I was gonna go from not being able to afford a jersey to owning the whole damn thing. And that is the quest to buy the Jets is my happiness. Whether I buy them or not, so many variables.
What if Woody Johnson doesn't sell? Well, he'll be dead by the time.
Well, that's right. I mean, there's an advantage of being 25 to 30 years younger than the current owner. But you don't know, anything can happen, right? And so there's a lot of things I can't control in that fairy tale, but I can control the ambitious climb to get there.
You are so on top of things. Does a Jet loss affect you?
Yes. The Jets are my one kryptonite. I'm actually stunningly level-headed. I'm basically unemotional when it comes to business.
I can tell.
It's a win-loss thing. It's a net game. I can deal. Yes, the Jets bother me. It's because I'm not in control.
Until next time, from Dominic and Sweeney, we'll catch you on the flippity flip.